up, everybody? It's your girl Mika, and you're watching the Red Cup Podcast, where truth, pop culture, and politics meet. What's up, everybody? It's your girl Mika, and we're back for another Red Cup Talks because this is where truth, pop culture, and politics meet. And happy Monday. Happy Monday to everybody. I see you guys are already active in the chat, but happy Monday to everybody. Thank you guys for pulling up. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I honestly do. All right. So let's go ahead and move into our main topics because we do have a lot to talk about. Okay, a whole lot. So let's go ahead and get into this 60 minutes piece. All right, so the 60-minute piece, what am I talking about? 60 Minutes decided that they were going to pull a story, all right? And everybody got upset because 60 Minutes pulled this story. I want to go ahead and get into it because it was, of course, about President Bukele and CECOT, and CBS did not want to air it. And so I want to get into this because it's rattling a lot of liberal media, and it's rattling media in general because they don't know the reason why they pulled it outside of what CBS is saying. So let's go ahead and get into that, you guys, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Here we go.
So it's Monday afternoon. I know everybody's getting ready for Christmas, but I wanted to just draw your attention to something that's happened in the last 24 hours that really matters. You might have heard that 60 Minutes pulled a segment last night at the last minute that would have been really embarrassing for the Trump administration. It was exposing these brutal conditions at a notorious El Salvadorian prison, a prison that Trump is moving migrants to. The point is the cruelty and the inhumanity. And it was going to be embarrassing because whether or not these people, had a right to enter the United States or not, no human should be treated under these kind of awful, diabolical conditions. And the segment didn't air. And the segment didn't air because Trump has effectively taken editorial control of CBS. What happened a few months ago is that CBS's parent company got bought. It got bought in a sale in which Trump basically said to the company that was buying it, if you want CBS, you've got to make CBS be more conservative, and you've essentially got to answer to me. That's what happened here. Trump didn't want the story. They wouldn't grant an interview for the story. And so at the very last minute, Bari Weiss, who had been installed as a conservative head of CBS in order to get the merger approved, pulled the segment. And why this matters is because never before have we had a president of the United States with this much editorial control, practical editorial control over American news networks. And why it matters even more is that this company, Skydance, is now in competition to buy Time Warner, which includes CNN. Even if they don't get control of CNN and Netflix instead gets control of CNN, Trump has basically told all these big billion-dollar companies, if you want a merger approved, if you want to take over a news network like CBS or CNN, you can do it, but you have got to give me power over what runs and what doesn't run.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Here we go again. So look, they're saying, he's saying that CBS, is capitulating to Donald Trump. Donald Trump essentially runs the editorial reviews, and he has control over all of that. If that is the case, then of course the liberal media, which is most of the media, then that means the Democrats have control over all of the media per se. CBS is not a liberal outlet. ABC, none of these places are liberal outlets. So with that being said, why in the world would we have to, why would they capitulate to Donald Trump? I don't even care about the mergers. The mergers still don't have anything to do with what their audience watches. Because if they don't put out things for their audience, they're not going to watch it. So I don't understand why Democrats are saying this. However, this was the trailer that they ran just a day or so before they pulled it. And so everybody was expecting this 60-minute special because of this trailer. Here we go.
It began as soon as the planes landed. The deportees thought they were headed from the U.S. back to Venezuela, but instead they were shackled, paraded in front of cameras, and delivered to CECOT, the notorious maximum security prison in El Salvador, where they told 60 Minutes they endured 4 months of hell.
Did you think you were going to die there?
We thought we were already the living dead, honestly.
So that is the trailer for that piece. Okay, this is about, all the deportations. This is about of course, always the immigrants. And of course, this is about Bukele and CECOT. Okay, now it goes against the narrative because at the end of the day, the last administration just did this. When you talk about wanting to suppress stuff in the media, wanting to suppress vital information that should have came out, we can go ahead and look at that because absolutely it was suppressed before by CBS, and that was the Hunter Biden story.
We eventually broadcast a story about the Hunter Biden laptop after the midterm elections in 2022. We commissioned a forensic review. I got a copy of the laptop data. I have it here still.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a lot of effort to get the cleanest copy of the laptop data, the same data that was provided to the FBI, because I didn't want to have any professional journalistic risk for CBS News. I wanted this thing to be totally locked down. When we did the story, we did it after the midterms. I argued against that because it was ready before the midterms. And my training is that you should always do the story when it's ready to go. You should not be dictated by the political cycle. Once we got the laptop story on the morning news, I felt that there was so much there that we could still do. For example, in the text messages, there's unfortunately the use of the N-word, the liberal use of the N-word. And I thought this was worthy of a story, but I was told that it was not something that interested CBS News. Then I asked for a forensic review of the laptop, and we found that there were more than half a dozen emails that were likely used by Joe Biden. I thought that was a story, but the answer that came back was, well, we need to know what the content is of the emails. But that was going to be a years-long process. So there was no way. So there were a lot of reasons I was told not to do it, not to pursue it.
So that was under the Biden administration, and that is CBS. That reporter, that lady right there, is a liberal reporter. Okay. So at the end of the day, that woman there is a real journalist. Okay. She wanted to run a story. She had it confirmed by the FBI. So why couldn't they run it? CBS was told not to run it. That's why. So now they're trying to play, the liberal media is trying to play the whole, well, we can't do this, we can't do that type of game. Okay, we can't run the stories because Donald Trump doesn't want us to run the stories. This has never happened in the history of whatever. It just happened. It just happened with Hunter Biden. It just happened. And on top of that, this piece was about CECOT. It wasn't about Donald Trump. It was about CECOT. This is not El Salvador. So what are we talking about? When I tell you it didn't make any sense, it didn't make any sense. Absolutely. And then they say, well, Donald Trump didn't want to be embarrassed because at CECOT, the people that we send down there, they get all types of, they're mistreated. They're, taken to these hellholes and beaten, and they can't sleep, which might be true for that prison in general. But the people that we sent there, they didn't get that treatment. And you want to know why we know they didn't get that treatment? Because of people like Abrego Garcia. Okay. The Maryland dad that isn't the Maryland dad that's should be a Liberian girl, but Maryland keeps bringing him back to America and stopping us from deporting him. That one right there. Abrego Garcia. Okay. Kilmar. That was him in CECOT. Okay. Just laughing it up, chuckling. I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but that was him right there. Absolutely him. I don't see anything wrong. I don't see anything wrong. I mean, he had TVs, he had biscuits, he had all types of things. Now, me personally, I like the other option. There he is. He's got a Gatorade. Okay, look at it. 2 biscuits. That's when my senator from the state of Maryland went to see him.
I did not get that sense. Look, you never know, but I asked him if he was okay. He said yes. He said he has a blood pressure condition. He has seen a doctor. So, you know, on a very cursory examination, he appeared okay.
Okay. So with that being said, there is one of our detainees from America. He looks absolutely fine. He was in all type of work programs, fishing. I mean, all types of things. Okay. And let's be clear. Each station, okay, they do have a bias. Okay. Fox leans to the right. And then you have your left-wing medias. And then, you know, you have places like News Nation, who's supposed to be in the middle, kind of, you know, fair and balanced, if you will. However, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, the journalists are supposed to have integrity, right? They're supposed to have integrity, and they're supposed to report the stories how they are. Okay. And the journalist from CBS did not have the other side. And so she wanted to get the other side. We get biased liberal think pieces all the time. And we get that also from the right. Okay. But if you're going to talk about somebody, you have to have both sides. And that's what she tried to get. That's what she tried to get. She didn't get it. So she pulled it. That's her. That's on her. All right. But the liberals are upset about it because she didn't continue with whatever was going to be in that think piece that she wanted to do on her 60-minute special. Okay. But let's be clear. The left is already upset with CBS as it is, because they had Erica Kirk on there last week. Okay. So they're already upset with her. They're already upset with the head of CBS. She had Erica Kirk on, and we all know that Erica Kirk is hated by the left. Okay. And so they already had an axe to burn with this woman. So you guys let me know what you think about it, because from everything that I can see in CECOT, the people that are there should be there. Okay. You have the most violent criminals that are at CECOT. And they should be. Okay. El Salvador, which he should be at. Okay. He should not be here in Maryland. But that place was absolutely a mess. It was absolutely a mess. A total mess. And Bukele, he cleaned it up. I mean, it's just absolute facts. He cleaned it up. How he cleaned it up, you can agree with it or you can not agree with it. It's debatable. Okay. But absolutely, at the very least, you gotta give credit where credit is due. That man took a place that was essentially a hellhole and running people out of there. And he cleaned it up. And now you have a thriving country. Once again, I've never heard anybody say they wanted to do tourism in my entire lifetime in El Salvador. And now El Salvador is booming. Their economy is starting to boom. And that you got to give thanks to that president. You got to give thanks to that president. It's all because of that president. But when you have people, okay, when you have people saying that because a journalist wants to do their job, whether they're on the left or the right, wants to do their job and actually get all of the facts before they just throw something out, or allow people to tell their side before they just throw something out, you got to give props to where props are due. Now, a lot of people, of course, just like this gentleman said, they don't like the fact that, you know, those mergers that are happening. And let's be clear, these mergers happen all the time. Before Donald Trump and after, they will continue to happen. Okay? Comcast was one of them. Xfinity, like all of these companies, they have all of these big mergers all the time. Netflix, Blockbuster, like it's the way business works. Okay? And a lot of these companies do try to monopolize. So I understand, you know, people's thought process on that. But at the end of the day, the journalist was right. Okay. The head of CBS was correct. And I'm no fan of CBS. So you guys get down in the comments and let me know what you think about the 60-minute story. Do you think that she did it to capitulate to Donald Trump and the Trump administration and try to bend the knee? Or do you think she was really just trying to be a journalist with integrity and put out fair and balanced stories? You guys let me know what you think in the comments. And let me know what you think in the chat, because I see y'all active over there. What do you think in the chat, you guys, about everything that's going on with CBS and these mergers and just everything that's happening in the media? What do you guys think? I see you. All right. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and get into this next one. Okay. Let's go ahead and get into these Epstein files. And the reason why I want to get into the Epstein files is because a lot of people are making a big stink about the Epstein files. And rightfully so. Okay. Everybody said they were going to be released. Everybody wants them released. Everybody is interested in them. So release the files. A lot of files got released, but not all of the files. So we're going to get into that as well. However, Jimmy Kimmel, okay, decided to go ahead and ask the last administration, preferably Kamala, why they didn't release the files. Democrats want the files released. Why didn't they release the files? And I thought that was actually a really good question. Out of all of the stuff that they always ask this woman, I thought that was a really good question. So I want to go ahead and get into that because I thought that that was actually a really good question for once from Jimmy Kimmel. Here we go.
Why didn't the Biden administration release those files? Was that something that they felt would look bad while they're running against this guy, or why didn't they come out during your administration?
To give you an answer that will not satisfy your curiosity, I will tell you, we, perhaps to our damage, but we strongly and rightly believed that there should be an absolute separation between what we wanted as an administration and what the Department of Justice did. We absolutely adhered to that, and it was right to do that. The Justice Department would make its decisions independent of any political or personal vendetta or concern that we may have. And that's the way it worked.
Why didn't the Biden administration release those files? Was that something that they felt would look bad while they're running against this guy, or why didn't they come out during your administration?
To give you an answer that will not satisfy your curiosity, I will tell you,
What does that mean? To give you an answer that will not satisfy your curiosity. Does that mean you're not answering the question? Then what is the point? This was actually a really good question. And all she had to do is say, we didn't want to, or we put in a request. I don't know what she could have said, honestly. But I don't get what she's saying. That's why I'm playing it again. I don't get what she's saying. I absolutely don't get what she's saying. How is it independent of your administration when it's your administration's DOJ? I absolutely don't get what she's saying. You wanted to be unburdened by what had been, but you didn't want to get involved. Like, what is she talking? It's your Department of Justice.
perhaps to our damage, but we strongly and rightly believed that there should be an absolute separation between what we wanted as an administration and what the Department of Justice did. We absolutely adhered to that, and it was right to do that. The Justice Department would make its decisions independent of any political or personal vendetta or concern that we may have. And that's the way it worked.
Why did...
Yeah, absolutely not. So as you see, she didn't answer the question. And I'm sure the reason why she didn't answer the question is because she didn't want to answer the fact that they didn't care. They didn't care. Okay. They did everything but drag Virginia Giuffre. Okay. When she came out and talked about Prince Andrew, when she came out and talked about Bill Clinton, when she came out and talked about a lot of different celebrities. Okay. And her experience and her time, as well as, you know, writing a book about it. Nobody, and I do mean nobody cared. You had Sonny Hostin over there saying, hey, it doesn't matter. Okay. Like, it didn't matter just because your name is on the list. It doesn't matter. Okay, fine. So why does it matter that Donald Trump's name is on the list? Because it matters, right? Okay. So again, the Democrats are being disingenuous. Okay. Again, to me, it is a distraction. I do believe they should release the files. Okay. However, it doesn't stop you as a legislative body. It doesn't stop you from doing other things. Everything is about these Epstein files. You can do the Epstein files, and you can figure out a way to reform healthcare, and you can figure out a way to reform immigration. You don't have to stop. But everything is always dominated by one thing. And that's what annoys me most about Congress. It's always dominated around one thing. You can walk and chew gum. So let's finish. Let's get into really what the media likes to ignore, because NBC talked to the victims of Epstein. And they asked about Donald Trump. And I'm so I'm annoyed with this, because the victims have been asked over and over and over again. And they keep saying the same thing.
With the attention on President Trump, with these questions around a pardon, did anybody see or hear of the president himself doing anything inappropriate as it related to Jeffrey Epstein?
No.
I do have to ask, and I know, and it's just something that I think we're compelled to at this moment, with the attention on President Trump, with these questions around a pardon, did anybody see or hear of the president himself doing anything inappropriate as it related to Jeffrey Epstein?
No.
Okay, so again, it's a no. It's a no. It's a no. It's a no. What's up, Slimmy? It's a no. It's absolutely a no. Okay, so if we're not seeing it, then what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, why are we trying to make something stick? These are the victims. These aren't just random people. These are Jeffrey Epstein's victims. And this is what they are saying. So now let's go ahead and get into CNN, because they are on the case about these Epstein files and why they're redacted and all of this type of stuff. Like me personally, in my personal belief, I believe that you shouldn't redact any of it. Just let it all go. And then they'll be crying and complaining about no redactions. Or why isn't this covered up? Or why isn't this covered up? I just say, let it all fly. Let it all fly. Absolutely let it all fly. That would be my course of action. But we're going to get into CNN talking about the redacted files.
New this morning, as the DOJ prepares to release more documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, the department is facing intense criticism over the slow pace of the rollout and the heavy redaction in the initial batch of files. The DOJ says it erred on the side of, quote, over redaction to protect victims of Epstein. Yesterday, the Justice Department republished a photo taken from Epstein's home that featured an image of President Trump. It was deleted Saturday, but reappeared Sunday, with the DOJ saying it temporarily removed the picture to make sure it didn't show any victims. The heavy redactions and drip of the documents release has angered the bipartisan lawmakers behind the Epstein files legislation. They're now threatening contempt proceedings against Attorney General Pam Bondi. Listen.
The quickest way, and I think most expeditious way to get justice for these victims is to bring inherent contempt against Pam Bondi.
We're building a bipartisan coalition, and it would fine Pam Bondi for every day that she's not releasing these documents.
Joining me now, CNN legal analyst and criminal defense attorney Joey Jackson. We heard Republican Congressman Thomas Massey, who is also behind pushing this forward, say that the letter of the law and the spirit of the law has been broken, something that many Democrats agree with. What's the recourse here as you started to see there what they're going to potentially, what they could do, but they have to have bipartisan support, obviously.
Yes, they must. So, Sarah, good morning to you. What happens is generally the recourse, the remedy, when you're not complying with the law, is in the law itself. The unfortunate thing here is that there is no provision in this law that gives a specific remedy. And so what they have to do, that is Congress, is look for ways in which they could bring enforcement. The law is very clear. The law indicates you have records, communications, you have documents that are to be released. It's called the Transparency Act. It's called that because it really envisions the information coming out to the public. It also says you have 30 days to do so. It also says, Sarah, that after those 30 days, 15 days later, you're to report to Congress with respect to the redactions, the categories of them, why you redacted them, what was the purpose, etc. So what you're looking for is compliance. So what I believe, and they've been floating this, you heard there, either contempt proceedings, impeachment proceedings, but something to bring teeth to the notion that what we said to do in the law, which, by the way, it passed in the House less one vote, right? I mean, there was only one person that didn't vote for it, and unanimous in the Senate. So this is something that the public is screaming for.
Yeah, I want to talk about the 15 or so files that were taken down a day after they were posted, which included a photograph of.
So here's the thing about this, and you guys let me know your thoughts. All right, Slimmy. All right, you guys let me know your thoughts, right? Because I want to get into this. They are upset about these redacted files, right? But if they aren't redacted, then we're just putting out information about everybody and all of the information for the victims, all of the information for people who shouldn't be mentioned, and of course, underage girls, all right, and pictures of them. If Jeffrey Epstein is as disgusting as everyone says he is, that's all that's in there. So what are we putting out? What are we actually putting out? If you guys don't want it redacted, then what are we putting out? Because my personal opinion is just let it all out, but you know that there's perverts on the internet that will take those pictures as well. But on top of that, you have images of underage young girls. You have names, addresses, all of these things. It's just everybody wants something different. And I don't think anybody has come to a consensus on Capitol Hill and the White House on how they're going to do these things, how they're going to keep certain information private and hidden. Because if you're going to let it out, you got to let it all out. You're going to need context. You can't just have this picture and nothing to go with it. So what are we actually doing? That's my point. What are we actually doing? What are we doing? If we're going to let it out, we got to let it all out. Or don't let anything out. They're absolutely playing. Everybody's playing because the Democrats know that because of all of that stuff I just mentioned, you can't let it all out. Okay. And then, whatever the White House doesn't want out, they know because of all the stuff I just mentioned, it all can't be out. So they're going to have to redact some stuff. So it's so annoying because we can really be talking about things that actually matter for the United States. And I'm not saying that these women don't matter, these victims don't matter, these young girls don't matter, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to make our economy better. It's not going to make the average American's life right now better unless you're going to let it all out and lock up everybody. And I do mean everybody. And they're not going to do that. The Democrats or Republicans, they're not going to do it. So if we're not going to actually do this, what are we doing other than playing semantics? What are we doing? What are we doing? Because if the Democrats, like I said, were interested, they would have done it. They absolutely would have done it. Okay. They wouldn't allow that sweetheart deal to continue when he had it. And on top of that, they already had all of these files. They could have released it. And as you just heard, Kamala herself, the word salad queen, she didn't have an answer for it either because they actually don't care. I know they don't care about children and young girls because there was 300K children missing coming across the border in the Rio Grande. They didn't know where they were. Trafficking is a very, very, very big issue here in the United States. So if they actually cared, they would have done more. They don't. They don't care. And everybody is just going back and forth because they know certain people that they know are in there and they might be in compromising positions, might be in compromising situations. And so they're just playing semantics with the people. So I say, unredact them, unredact these things because the Democrats are just going to use that as another means to keep this going. I say unredacted, okay? Because at the end of the day, they're not going to talk about what's in there because they didn't like things like this. Now, everybody saw Bill Clinton in the last dump. And they didn't like any of this stuff that we see here on the screen. Okay? They didn't like any of this stuff. All right. They're like, well, why are we showing these? Why are we showing Bill Clinton? What about this and that and the third? And it's just, if this is in there, it should be out. And I wouldn't redact a face. I wouldn't redact anything. Because this is what they want. Okay. But who didn't know that Bill Clinton was intertwined with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein has a big picture, a portrait-sized picture of Bill Clinton in his house. Like, who didn't know this, right? Everybody knew this. They just didn't talk about it. So at the end of the day, what I am saying is if we are not going to go ahead and put out all of these things unredacted, where we can have context, where we can actually talk about everything that's going on, then yes, I did see Clinton's response. Okay. And he said, put out the files. Because he knows nothing is going to happen to him. What is absolutely going to happen to Bill Clinton? You see Bill Clinton right there with this young girl right here. Okay. And Virginia Dufresne has already said multiple times that she had encounters with Bill Clinton. Underage. They were subpoenaed. Clintons, both of them, Hillary and Bill. They never came. What are we talking about? Nobody's going to do anything to them. So, of course, he's like, yeah, put it out. Nobody's arrested Obama for war crimes. Nobody's arrested George Bush for war crimes. What are they going to do to them? So I don't want to hear Bill Clinton. I don't want to hear Bill Clinton. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't want to hear Bill Clinton. I only want to hear from Bill Clinton if he's going to actually talk about these photos. I don't want to hear him talk about Trump. I don't want to hear him talk about anybody other than himself and the photos with these young girls. Underage girls at that. And that has been proven. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. So again, it's a waste of our time. If they're not going to talk about it, if they're not going to, have things that are unredacted, okay? If they're not going to talk about it, what are we doing? This was proof enough for me, because why would he have this in his house? Clintons, the Bushes, Dick Cheney, all of these people, okay? They're all in the same boat. They're all related. They're all together, okay? So, again, they know what's going on. They've been knowing what's going on. It doesn't matter to them. So, no, I'm not interested in anything that Bill Clinton has to say via a statement. When he's ready to talk, like actually talk about what's going on, then, okay, we can kind of get into it. But until then, what are we talking about? So, you guys, let me know what you think about these redacted files of the Epstein files, because I just absolutely just thought, okay, they're going to redact them because it's so much on there. It's so much on there. So, of course, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. But they've had these files for almost, 30 years now? And nobody has put them out. Nobody has done it. Obama could have did it. Didn't do it. Bush could have did it. Didn't do it. Okay? The only person that even mentioned it was Donald Trump. And personally, I just think he needs to go ahead and let it all out. Just let it all out. Don't redact anything. Don't do anything. Just let it all out so we can see it and move on. Because I would like to get onto the economy. I would like to talk about these tariffs. I would like to talk about a lot of things that we aren't talking about because we keep having to talk about these Epstein files. And then once you know, what are you going to do about it? Absolutely nothing. So I think it's a waste of our time, but that is my thought on that. So you guys get down in the comments and let me know what you think about the Epstein files. Okay. What do you think about everything that's going on with that? And also let me know what you think about the fact that the media at least knows that Bill Clinton did actually do something. And they refuse to talk about that. They refuse to go talk to the actual victims in the photos. They don't want to talk about any of that. They only want to talk about whether or not they can possibly, they still haven't find something on Donald Trump. If Donald Trump is actually in those files as not mentioned, not just mentioned, not partying with Epstein, but in the files with underage girls and victims that we can prove, then do what you do. He ought to be in jail like the rest of them. But they haven't found one yet. And they keep admitting that they haven't found anything yet. And that's my problem. They're looking for something that they know doesn't exist. Because I assure you, if they had it, they would have did that instead of going after those frivolous 34 convictions on lying to your bank on bookkeeping. It's absolutely stupid and ridiculous. So you guys get down in the comments and let me know what you think about that. Let me go ahead and read these super chats because it's just absolutely stupid. We could be talking about so much more. So much more. Okay. Ronnie, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. I appreciate you. Great show, Mika, as always, and happy holidays. Happy holidays, Ronnie. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And then we have a super chat from Taurus Prince 516. Thank you so much for the 199 super chat. I appreciate it. I missed the show. Recap, please. I'll put the timestamps, in the description as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. What's going on, everybody that pulled up while I've been ranting? Okay. What's going on? And I didn't get to do roll call, so I will make sure I do it at the end of the show. Thank you guys so much. I see you, Donna Jordan, your car. I see all you guys, truck driver. I see you. Okay. I even see Josh. I see ya. I see all you guys. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Let's get into, let's see, where we want to go next. It was so much to get into. Where do we want to go? Okay. Let's go to JDVANCE. All right, let's go to JDVANCE. Hey, Smell the Roses, I see you, girl. Let's go ahead and get into JD. The reason why I want to get into JD today, you guys, is because I liked what he had to say at Turning Point USA. Okay. I liked what he had to say. And I also like the fact that, JD is trying to step into the whole presidential type of role, but I still think there's more that needs to be seen from JD Vance. Okay. And I still do think that the Republicans ought to have a robust primary. Okay. I want to see more than just JD Vance. Okay. I want to see more. I want to see more third party people. All right. I want to see more, but I absolutely do like JD Vance. Okay. Let's go ahead and get into what he had to say at Turning Point, because it is causing a stir. All right. Because he happened to mention Democrats, of course, but he happened to talk about one of the party's favorites, which is Ratchet Crockett, aka Jasmine Crockett. All right. I want to go ahead and get into what he had to say. Here we go.
Now, the Democrats are always already talking about 2028, and it looks like they're going to nominate a California liberal who's presided over rolling blackouts, open borders, and unchecked violent gangs. They're just trying to settle on whether it's going to be Gavin Newsom or Kamala Harris. And in the meantime, what are the Democrats offering you in the meantime? I got to say, ladies and gentlemen, they are not sending their best. Omar Fateh was Ilhan Omar's candidate for mayor of Mogadishu. Minneapolis. Little Freudian slip there. The candidate for Senate in Maine for the Democrats calls me a Nazi, which is rich coming from a guy who literally has a Nazi tattoo on his chest.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
And Jasmine Crockett. Oh, Jasmine Crockett. The record speaks for itself. She wants to be a senator, though her street girl persona is about as real as her nails. But ask yourself, what do all of these people have in common? And the unfortunate answer is they are puppets. They don't actually matter. They are cogs in a machine that wants to make you poorer, that wants to make you less powerful, and wants to make you less safe in the country your ancestors built. And while President Trump and I are doing everything we can to break that machine, the left is still there, my friends, and they are still very powerful. Don't delude yourselves. It's the activist groups who want to poison your kids with hormone replacement therapy and toxins in your water supply. It's the corporate boardrooms pushing diversity quotas while whining about the fact that Donald Trump won't let them ship American jobs overseas anymore, and boo-hoo to that. It's the rogue district judges who issued nationwide injunctions every time the president lifts a finger. It's the Soros DAs who cheered on as their cities burned. What unites them? They win when our country loses. They get rich when you get poorer. They hire the illegals that they bring in to take your jobs. They drink fine wine in the countries they ship your jobs to. They censor you because they'd rather destroy the Constitution than risk losing an argument. They bring in millions of voters because they know they can't win the argument with the people who are already here. And you know what else unites them? We are going to kick their ass next November and every year after that.
So that was JD, okay? That was JD. And I thought his speech was really good. I thought he did an excellent job, right? But of course, all the mainstream media focused on was the fact of Jasmine Crockett, okay? And he named other Democrats, but all they did was focus on Jasmine Crockett. I don't know why they just focused on Jasmine Crockett, but that's what they focused on, okay? Now, Jasmine Crockett, of course, she's a social media star. And so she got wind of what JD had to say. But before we get into Jasmine Crockett, JD mentioned Jasmine Crockett's vernacular and how it changes, okay? How it is an act. So I would like to bring that up and we'll talk about it. Here we go.
To see you in the new year. You know, no one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress.
Baby, because these people, they are crazy, because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it. I'm telling you, and the wives is being messy.
To see you in the new year.
Those are two different women, okay? Two different women, okay? Two different women. You don't go from talking like how she talked in the beginning to talking a different way. It's just absolutely ridiculous, okay? And to me, it's insulting because you're speaking to a room full of Black people and you think that you have to speak like that in order to be relatable. It's very insulting. If I was in a room, I would be insulted because why can't you talk like you talk when up at the top, that picture of the video at the top, she was talking to a white reporter. Why can't you talk the same? And that's because she thinks you want to hear the latter. That's why she talks like that. But let's go ahead and get into her responding to JDVANCE's insult, as she calls it, and as the mainstream media is calling it, because she was on MS Now talking about JDVANCE.
The fact that he said I have a quote unquote street girl persona, I'm sorry, but anybody that you talk to knows my credentials. They know that I've gone to school. They know that I'm educated. I never tried to put on some random story about where I came from. But at the end of the day, I am who I am and I am authentic. And that is actually what they are fearful of, is my authenticity, because it rings true with every single American, whether they're a Texan or not. It rings true that I am fighting for real everyday people. And instead of talking about policy, when you're talking about the record speaks for itself, baby, let's talk about your record. Because the only reason you're the vice president is because the current president tried to have his last president killed. Let's talk about qualifications. Let's talk about who has actually been fighting for people way before she ever ran for office, whether it was in the courtroom or if it was in the streets, making sure those that were out there wanting to exercise their constitutional right to come together and protest injustices. I was representing pro bono people that were getting arrested as they were out in the streets. So listen, I don't have time for him and their games. They are scared and they should be scared. I need Texans to focus in. I need them to think about the fact that our 2 senators literally just voted against extending the Affordable Care Act tax subsidies that would help almost an additional almost 4 million people that are on the marketplace in a state where we have 5 million that are completely uninsured. They basically are trying to put another 4 million people off of their insurance. And this is before we endure the cuts that are coming because of the big ugly bill where we know 17 million people in this country are going to lose their health care. Listen, I'm staying focused. I'm not going to be distracted. And when they can tell me about their policies that are helping Texans, then we can have a conversation. Until then, take whatever shots you want to take at me, because I have been a Black woman my entire life. I promise you, there are other people just like JD Vance who have tried to do the same racist tropes my entire life. And somehow I ascended and became a U.S. Congresswoman. It will not be different when I become a U.S. Senator. And we can have a conversation when I get to the Senate floor if he wants to talk.
The fact that she thinks she's going to win is hilarious. The fact that that woman thinks that people actually want her in is hilarious. Okay. Black people have been all over TikTok saying that they don't want her. They are literally saying they don't want her. All right. But she's not listening. She's also not listening to her own party because they don't want her either. They want that young white boy, that Tellerico. Okay. They want Tellerico. They don't want Ratchet Crockett. However, let's get into what she was saying about JD Vance. What she's saying about JD Vance being racist, I don't understand. JD Vance is nowhere near racist, okay? And if you actually go and watch this interview, she also talks about Donald Trump and JD Vance, and of course JD Vance being racist. But she says that just because JD Vance has, a brown wife doesn't mean he can't be racist. Okay. It means that he's probably going to be using her for cover. It's just absolutely insane. Okay. It's absolutely insane. But meanwhile, you have a woman who's not even Black, Kamala, who she was stumping for. She's not Black. She doesn't do anything for the Black community. Okay. And they had no problem. They had absolutely no problem with promoting her. And she doesn't have a Black family. Let's call a thing a thing. Okay. She doesn't have a Black family. So why do we uplift the person who isn't even Black, but call somebody a racist who actually is married to a person of color? You cannot make this stuff up. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, none of it really matters in the grand scheme of things. Okay. None of it really matters. It's just something that they like to play on the people with. And I can't, it irritates my soul. It really does. And the reason why it irritates my soul is because it has nothing to do with nothing. I don't care if JD Vance was married to a white woman. Okay. It doesn't have anything to do with the fact that essentially JD Vance is the vice president. Okay. You would want him to do what's good for the country, whether you're Democrat or Republican. Who he is married to has absolutely no bearings, unless this person is, a war criminal or something like that. But his wife is just a regular woman. She's not a celebrity. Okay. She's not into anything in politics. She's just a regular woman taking care of her kids and married to a politician. So again, the fact that they use the fact that she's brown, they use all of that to say, oh, well, he just uses her to hide behind, people of color. It's just absolutely ridiculous, and it's nasty, and it's atrocious. And let's be clear. JD Vance came from very humble beginnings. Okay. Just like a lot of people on the conservative side. But they make everybody on the conservative side seem like they're so, they're so elite. And there are elites on both sides. But when you talk about people like JD Vance, he came from very humble beginnings. Nobody wants to acknowledge that. Okay. He's essentially trailer park. Okay. Mother, drugs, all of these things. He had the same come up story that people usually love. Okay. They love a rags to riches story. That would be JD Vance. Meanwhile, you want us to support a woman whose family literally had slaves, okay, who is a part of the caste system in India. Why would we support that? Because they love elitism. That's why. They love it. They love it, okay? But this is what they're pushing, okay? Jasmine Crockett, she look like she needs some sleep. She needs sleep. Okay, I've never seen her look this bad. This is actually really bad. I've never seen her look this bad, you guys. She actually looks really bad. Okay, I don't know what they have her on the campaign doing, but she needs sleep bad today, now. But it's so funny that she can just talk, and say that, oh, anytime somebody speaks on her and her nails, okay, it's racist. But she literally calls Donald Trump the orange orangutan in the White House, orange man. She talks about, his hair, says it's not real, it's a toupee. She talks about somebody's hair not being real. It's beyond me. But she says all of these things. And it's okay. But as soon as somebody says something about her and her politics and mentions her nails, it's racial tropes. Okay. Like I said, these people think everybody's just dumb. Jasmine Crockett has no policies. Her website looks exactly like Kamala's look. Okay. You remember when Kamala had that site and she had no policies on it? And everybody kept going back to it saying, when are we going to get the policies? That's what Jasmine Crockett's site looks like. There's no policies on it. It just says we're against Trump. But how are you better? What policies make you better? If a Democrat wanted to prove something to me, I would just say, hey, okay, show me the policies. What's going to be better? What will I get? Absolutely nothing. I haven't gotten anything. Her website is dry. It's dry as all hell. It's just dry. There's nothing actually going on. So why would we put you in the Senate when you are a member of Congress right now? You haven't done anything for your district and you haven't done anything to tell us what you will do better. But you want us to vote for you to put you where? Because you're Black. Because you are a woman. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I agree 100% with JD Vance. Everything that she does is an act. Okay. It's definitely an act. And I don't think she understands that the people that she will be going against on the right will be hard to beat in the Senate race. Or maybe she does understand it and just doesn't care. And then if it's that, then she absolutely doesn't care about the people, because you will want the best candidate on the Democratic side to go against the Republican. So that means it brings it back to just being about Jasmine Crockett, which is what I'm seeing her campaign being all about. Jasmine Crockett, I'm a victim. Woe is me. I'm the educated Black woman. Whoa, 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 whoa. They're talking about me. They're racist towards me, but I will be the victor and watch me win and beat Orange Man bad. That's my analysis on it. You guys get down in the comments and let me know what you think about Jasmine Crockett and JD Vance's beef feud, whatever you want to call it. All because he mentioned that she's not going to win the Senate race, and he mentioned her nails. And all of a sudden, he's a bigot and a racist. You can't make it up. You guys get down in the comments and let me know what you think about it. All right. Let me go ahead and read the super chats before I get into Nicki Minaj. Okay. Let me go ahead and read the super chat. Thank you so much, you guys, for supporting. I do appreciate it. Agency headquarters, $2 super chat. You plus Slim. will be playing in your Super Bowl. Have fun. You know, my my team never makes it to anything. I've never seen my team win. Okay, the Redskins don't win anything, so you know, that's a soft spot for me. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I see you guys in the chat. Thank you so much for staying active. I do appreciate you guys. Yeah, he wanted to make fun of her hair, but you know, if he talks about that, you know what they're going to say about that. So I think he's very conscious of that. Okay. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and get into Nicki Minaj. Okay. When I tell you that this this was definitely a surprise. Okay, I didn't plan to hear about anything about Nicki Minaj at Turning Point at all, really. So I really thought this was actually a good surprise. And I kind of knew, you know, that she might have a little bit of a relationship because of the president and because of you know, Charlie Kirk has in the past spoke out about Nicki Minaj. So it doesn't surprise me that they have a relationship, but it surprised me to see her come out on that stage because it takes a lot to be able to go against what a lot of people are going to say. And they're going to say you are a coon, a bootlicker, a soft shoe, a tether, all of these nasty names that they come up with if you do not go along with the left. Okay. If you go along with the right in any capacity, it doesn't even have to be the far right. Okay. But if you go along with the right or the conservative movement in any capacity as a person of color, you are thereby condemned, a sellout. Yeah, call it what you want. Mm-hmm. All of these things. Okay. And so Nicki Minaj has a huge brand. And she puts that brand, you know, in jeopardy with her liberal base. But I think Nicki Minaj has ascended to a certain level where she has more than just liberal fans and she has more than just one type of fan. Okay. So I think her base is expansive enough for her to do things like this. Not all artists can, or not all artists are willing to take the risk. And some artists don't even care. So there's that. But I want to get into it because I think it shows a lot of different aspects. And I want to get into those different aspects. So let's go ahead and get into that. All right. So this first one here, I want to get into. Here's Erica Kirk talking to Nicki Minaj about having the backlash. Here we go.
I know that you are getting a lot of backlash from your own industry. What is your reaction to that?
I didn't notice.
Amen. I feel the same way. When people are like, what do you think about them? I'm like, I don't think about them.
Bingo. We don't even think about them.
We don't have time to. We're too busy building, right?
Yeah, we're the cool kids.
Okay.
The other people, they're the ones who are still just disgruntled, but really they're just disgruntled with themselves. They are angry with themselves, you guys. So you can't wake up and think about somebody who is determined to just stay mad. I literally tell them, stay mad.
Amen.
Stay mad. Because we're going to stay joyful,
yep,
and peaceful and iconic and smart. Yes. And we're going to stay thinkers. In a world that doesn't want us to think, we will think. By ourselves, on our own. We will continue to think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with that being said, I want to get into what a few industry heads had to say. Okay. Here is what Rihanna had to say. Okay, because I thought this was very interesting because I wouldn't have expected to hear from Rihanna, but here we go.
Showing public support for Donald, Nicki made an unexpected appearance when she walked on stage holding hands with Erica. The moment closed out the annual Turning Point gathering and quickly got a lot of attention online. It was Erica's first time attending the event since her husband Charlie passed away earlier this year. Erica has taken on a leadership role within the organization following Charlie's passing. She welcomed Nicki warmly and guided the conversation in a calm and respectful way. During the talk, Erica asked Nicki about her views on Donald and leadership. Nicki responded by saying, "I have the utmost respect and admiration for him." She added, "He's given so many people hope," explaining why she feels strongly about standing by her views. Nicki also spoke about no longer caring about outside judgment. She said, "Why do I even care what these people think?" She added that she is no longer backing down and plans to stand firm in who she is. The appearance sparked strong reactions across social media platforms, and now Rihanna has spoken out about Nicki associating herself with Erica and Donald. Underneath the video about it, Rihanna left a comment. In her comment, she wrote, "Clown." That doesn't need any explanation. She clearly is furious with Nicki right now, and I doubt that'll change anytime soon.
So as you can see, it was not liked by Rihanna. Okay. Rihanna put clown under a video of Nicki Minaj. Okay. I have so many things I could say about Rihanna and the start of her career. Okay. Anytime somebody tells you you have to sign a contract or you're going out the window, anytime you tell me that you were 15 years old and you were tricked into a contract, where were your parents? There's a lot of things that can be said, and I'm a fan of Rihanna's music, but there's a lot of things that can be said about a lot of people in the industry, because a lot of people in the industry go along to get along. A lot of people in the industry are even afraid to talk about each other. Okay. So it really makes me look at Rihanna a certain way, because I'm wondering what was behind that comment. Because if you don't know, Rihanna and Nicki Minaj have had a bit of a history, okay, as of late. So I'm wondering, is it more personal or is it really about the politics, or both? But either way, it was a nasty comment because she knew it would get likes and it would be talked about. Okay. Here is the industry heads at Hot 97 talking about Nicki Minaj as well.
MAGA Minaj. Her becoming full right-wing MAGA, as much as I may make fun of it, it seems absolutely insane and not representative. I'm not saying Nicki was filled with ideals in her music, but yo, she was outright like anti-transgender yesterday on stage. She was like nasty about transgender people. I'm like, like Amber Rose, another person just forgetting who her people were.
One of the reasons that people like the Trump administration, who usually weren't even that political, but maybe had some things, you know, some carryover from other lifestyles that they needed to deal with, is because you could pay for access to the president of the United States.
That's unusual.
And because you can do that, people are like, I like this guy because I never would have got access to
Barack. I couldn't have bought my way out of something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You could have. Absolutely. You could have. And so many people did. What are you talking about? You couldn't have bought access. Yes, you can. You absolutely could have. And pay for what? What would be the access that they would be paying for? Because if that's the case, let's talk about Joe Biden and all the access that a lot of people got. Okay. You want to talk about child predators being pardoned. You want to talk about, It's absolutely nasty work of what they do, right? Again, you don't have to like Nicki Minaj's music. You don't have to like her personal life choices. But to attack somebody solely based on who they vote for or who they think is the best for our country is absolutely stupid. But we know Ebro is stupid. Okay. He may be great in the arena of, hip hop, but as far as anything else, he's absolutely Trump deranged. Because all that man does is talk about Trump. That's all he does. He talks about Trump, 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 Trump. For what? I don't know. You run a music station. That's probably why you have no job.
No. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, I understand it. I don't support it, but I understand these people and their agenda.
But correct me if I'm wrong. That's the definition in the textbook of sellout, right?
And there's the word. And that's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. As soon as you talk to a Republican, you're a sellout. But Cardi B isn't a sellout for getting up there and talking about unaliving babies in the womb. Okay, she isn't a sellout. Megan Thee Stallion isn't a sellout for shaking her butt and twerking in the middle of a political rally. That's not selling out. But talking about boys being boys and girls being girls is selling out. Okay, absolutely then. Let's get into that. Okay, here's what Nicki Minaj had to say about boys and girls. Okay, how we should be nurturing our girls and what boys should be doing, what young boys should be doing. Here we go.
And so for little girls, I don't want what was done to little black girls done to little white girls. I don't want it done to any girls. I want all the little girls in the world to know that you are unique. You are beautiful. You are you. And you can compliment another girl. You can compliment another woman and still know that you are epic and amazing. So that's what I would say for the girls. And I know I know my adults understand clearly where I'm going with that, where I'm getting, I don't like that. I don't like people making other people feel badly about themselves in any way. We need to nurture young girls. Yes, whether they are black, white, Asian, Hispanic, they still need to be nurtured. They cannot continue to pay for other people's sins. They haven't done anything wrong.
Amen. And what do you think about for young men? For young men.
And for young men, don't be new scum. Yes. See, dear young men, you have amazing role models like our handsome, dashing president.
She knows what
and
she
you
doing.
have amazing role models like the assassin JDVANCE, our vice president. And when I say that,
She's so dramatic.
Trust me, there's nothing new under the sun that I have not heard, so you're fine. Yes, we did. I love you. I love you. You have to laugh about it, truly. I have been called every single thing, and you know what? God is so good, you let it roll right off your back. And this is what's so beautiful about this moment, because if the internet wants to clip it, who cares?
Oh, they're
I
gonna clip
love
it.
this woman.
They're
She's
gonna
an
clip it.
amazing woman. She has a soul and a heart for the Lord. And words are words, but I know her heart, and it doesn't even matter. And you say what you want to say because I know your heart. I will not
Thank
judge
you, my
that.
sister. Thank you. For boys, be boys.
Amen.
Be boys. It's okay. Be boys. It's nothing wrong with being a boy. How about that?
Amen.
How powerful is that? How profound is that?
Amen.
Boys will be boys, and there's nothing wrong with that.
So that's why she took the pause, because she knew what she was going to say was going to be clipped up. Okay. She knew it was going to be taken out of context. And now that's exactly what they're doing on the internet. Okay. They're saying that Nicki Minaj is, of course, a transphobic. Okay. She's absolutely transphobic. All right. Because she said that boys will be boys. Like, how can you do that? How can you say that boys will be boys when other people can be boys? Like, girls can be boys too, right? There's like transgender boys. And so it's absolutely stupid. It's absolutely stupid. And that's exactly what happened. I want to get into this one.
And I just want to say, if you were born with a flat ass, then don't get a BBL and have a flat ass. Nicki Minaj really sat on that stage at America Fest and said that if you were born a boy, to be a boy. And I just want to say, if you were born with a flat ass, then don't get a BBL and have a flat ass. Nicki Minaj really sat on.
And so, as you see at the top of her screen, it says Nicki Minaj is transphobic. And that's why she took the breath, because she knew what she was going to say about the boys was going to get clipped up and she was going to be transphobic. All these stupid old names, labels, whatever. She knew it. And there it is. Okay. Nicki Minaj is transphobic. All because she said, let boys be boys. Like, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make it up. But you had, fans who definitely still supported, and you have fans that did not support. Okay. So I want to get into this last part of Nicki Minaj talking about Gavin Newsom or Newscum. Okay. Because Nicki Minaj talked about before, on her own platform about, property taxes, about how California just, homelessness, about a lot of things that California does wrong, including the transgender kid stuff. And she's going to read those tweets live on stage. Here we go.
Oh, Gabby Poo, it only gets worse from here for you, buddy. It's the end of the road for you, my love. Get on the nearest jet ski and let that beautiful hair blow in the wind. It'll make you happier than this race that you will not win. Enjoy life. Peace.
Okay. One more. Why
not? Imagine being the guy running on wanting to see trans kids. Haha, not even a trans adult would run on that. Normal adults wake up and think they want to see healthy, safe, happy kids. Not Gav, the Gav nuts. Gav not in, Gav out. Send in the next guy, I'm bored.
No, she's so dramatic.
Oh, Gabby Poo.
The Chucky in the background is what she had on the tweet. Okay, she had Gavin Newsom as Chucky. It was just she's dramatic. She's theatrics, okay? But it was funny because she was saying that you got to vote Gavin out, okay? Because Gavin Newsom kept saying he wants to see trans kids, and she's like, who wakes up wanting to see trans kids? People want to wake up seeing healthy kids, happy kids, but trans kids. Who thinks of that? There's absolutely no kid that's trans. I don't care what they say. Okay? I don't care if you think your nephew has a little sugar in his tank. Okay? And he may. He may be a little lemon drop like Don Limon. However, he will wait till he's grown, or he should wait until he's grown to make the decision on what he wants to be. Not changing him just because he's around all his aunties. Okay? Most of these little boys are around women. And so they tend to be a little, and it's okay let that child be a child. Okay. Expose him to other boys, expose him to other things than just sitting around his mama and his aunties. Okay. Or having him at his grandmother's house all the time. I don't know. Put him in football. Something. Gaming, something around other boys. Like, I don't understand why that's a problem. I don't understand why that's something that we need to be so upset about. But they were upset that she had that tweet. Okay, we talked about D.L. Hughley the other week. We talked about D.L. Hughley and how he went off on Nicki Minaj for this reason alone. Okay. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. I don't know why they do it, but they do it. And this is the left. Okay. They absolutely hate that Nicki Minaj says anything that is outspoken. How dare she be lifted up by the left, essentially. Okay. Because the type of rap, let's be clear, the type of rap that Nicki Minaj does is promoted primarily with a lot of people that are liberal. Okay. And that's just the raw facts. Okay. Most of the liberals support this type of music. All right. And you would think people are allowed to grow. People are allowed to have their own thoughts and opinions. All right. There are movie stars that I don't agree with the type of movie roles that they do. But again, they're allowed still to be a human being with thoughts and feelings. And for some reason, the left, the tolerant left that is supposed to be, encompassing of everybody, show everybody empathy and love, doesn't like that Nicki Minaj does what she does. Okay. Well, how can you make this music but be over here with the right? They're misogynists, they're racist, and all this other nonsense. Okay. That's what they want you to believe. That's absolutely what they want you to believe. There are racist people on any side, left, right, middle, whatever. You're not going to change that. You cannot change ignorance. And I definitely wouldn't try to. All you have to do is be you, stick to what you do, stick to what you believe. You can have debates, arguments, all of that, but it's not going to change somebody's mindset. If that's how they think, that's how they think. You would hope they, they've had enough time to where they can, research certain things. But at the end of the day, if that's their values, that's their values. But they're allowed to have those thoughts. And so Nicki Minaj should be allowed to have those thoughts. She's not ever allowed to have these thoughts. And that's because they feel like they made her, and she should be saying their talking points. She should be saying trans is good for this. And it's also because a lot of gay men do support Nicki Minaj. A lot of transgender men, transgender women support Nicki Minaj. Okay. They want to look like her. They want to, emulate what she is. And they can absolutely still do that. Nobody hates transgender people. They just don't like the agenda. If you want to be a man wearing women's outfits, go right ahead. Nobody is stopping you. Nobody hates gay people. But to push that on kids and expect everybody to be in on that is absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. And I think when you talk about being tolerant, you have to embody everybody. Okay, if your side is so tolerant, why don't you tolerate other ideas? And that's because they're not there to tolerate other ideas. They're just there to perpetuate what's been going on and expound on it. They want socialism. They want communism. They want free this, free that. They want a utopian society that will never happen. Okay. There's no society that's been a utopia. I haven't seen it or read about it. Okay. any society with all these social programs, they always fail. And that's the honest truth. Zoran Mandami might tell you that this works. It does not. It didn't work in Cuba. It didn't work in Afghanistan. It didn't work in other parts of Europe. It doesn't work. Okay? When Rome was a republic, it was great. When Rome went social, to socialism and, democracy and all of this stuff, it failed. So you got to look at the failures of the past in order to see where we're going forward. And I think at this time, no pun intended, we're at a turning point. And we're going to see where society goes. So I think, shout out to, Nicki Minaj for showing up and, speaking, what they like to say, her truth. But also just stating what you believe. I don't even think she's picked a side. I just think she chose to support people that not only support her, but also support what's right. Okay? And I don't think that really, honestly and truly, I don't think it had anything to do with Democrat or Republican. And those are just my honest thoughts and opinions. I don't think so. Y'all in the comments are wild. Y'all in the chat is wild. But honestly and truly, I say this every stream. We as a country got to figure out a way to come together, because if not, we're not going to have a constitutional republic. It'll look very different. And I can assure you, even the ones that push for something else won't like it. So do your due diligence. Try to find out as much as you can. Try to read as much as you can. Okay? You're not going to know everything, but just try. Just try to read, try to figure out things, try to go for what's right, the right values. And I think we'll be a better country if we actually put forth effort into not only understanding our government, but holding our government officials accountable and holding ourselves accountable, because we're voting these people in. We're saying we support these people. They're not just there. Okay? You have other entities that are paying, yes, of course, to put them in our faces, but we have to actually support them. So let's stop supporting trash and support people who actually support the American people. I think that's a better start than having a failed country. And those are my thoughts. You guys, it has been a wonderful 2 hours. Okay? We have had a roller coaster. But at the end of the day, I love it all. I appreciate all of you guys. I really, really, really do. I've had a blast. All right. Let me get to these super chats really quick. Ask a Brother Podcast. Hey, Jeff, with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much. Send the link. I wish I would have caught that earlier. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you. And you guys check out his podcast. He's absolutely awesome. Jeff from the Ask a Brother Podcast. Absolutely awesome. Miss Brown Eyes, 4237. Thank you so much. And how you been, love? With the $5 super chat. Hey, Mika, I've been busy in CA trying to get a petition signed to have IDs to vote. Wow. It's been rough. I bet. Meanwhile, they're giving out IDs to everybody who's a, illegal alien, and then having to snatch back 75,000 of them because they shouldn't be on the road. This is absolutely horrendous out there in California. I don't know how y'all do it. Okay. California, I cannot do. It's beautiful out there, but $7 in gas. No. No, absolutely not. I would never. I can't do it. Okay. Those high taxes, those little houses, apartments are like 7,000. Absolutely not. But prayers to everybody that's in California because, y'all got to deal with a lot. Fires, Gavin, and his hair gel. I mean, that's a lot. So my heart goes out to you guys. Thank you, Ms. Brown Eyes. And I really do hope you get that signed because I do think you should have an ID to vote. You got to have an ID for everything else. Why not to vote? You know why. They're cheating. Absolutely. Thank you guys. Oh, hold on. I don't want to forget this one. Hey, Magnetar with the $5 super chat. What's going on? One of my favorite mods. Are you going to hire me if I leave the federal government? Okay. Okay. You want to work on the podcast? You want to work on the podcast? Now, I would say keep your job. Get those federal benefits. I'm just saying. But you can come on over. We can I always love hiring the people, do upgrade on the podcast, but you gonna really need them benefits? Don't you got a pension? You better don't leave your job. Do not leave your job. Get those benefits. You work for them. Okay. You guys, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much, Yakar, Magnetar, Spaces. I see you, Ronnie. Who else? Loud and Clear. Thank you so much. Super Tim, Frankie, I see ya. Who else? Joseph, David, Alicia, Donna, Josh, 100% Miamian, Lone Star, Miss Brown Eyes, Brett, what does it say? Damien? Yep, Damien, New Yorker. Agency headquarters. Michael Armstrong, thank you so much. The Genius CEO, I see you. Melanick, thank you so much. Ronnie, who else? Scoop, I see ya. Cold World, what's going on? Let's see who else is in the building. Who we got? CB, I think that says CB 5568. Thank you for pulling up. I appreciate you. All right. Mr. Watson, 80. Thank you, love. What's going on? Yote, I think it's Yote, 178. Thank you so much for pulling up. I appreciate you. Junior Largy. I think I said that right. Thank you so much for pulling up. I appreciate you. The Legend of Nick. Thank you. Who else we had in the building? Outcast 211. Thank you so much. Lido Mitch. Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm Ruckus Nephew. Thank you so much for pulling up. Bad Hombre. Thank you. Okay. Who else? I'm trying to get most of you guys. Tyrone, thank you so much for pulling up. Salemi, thank you so much for pulling up. I appreciate you. Who else we got? DJ Ace Production, I see you. Thank you. Marta's Vibes. Yeah, I think it's Marta's Vibes. Thank you so much, love, for pulling up. I appreciate you. Who else? Lone Star Raider. Thank you so much for pulling up. The Ice Pick 64. These names. 100% Miami. Oh, I said that one, but still, thank you for pulling up. 1080 Kendall. Thank you so much for pulling up. The $2 super chat. The bad wigs didn't code switch. Lord jeez. No, it actually got a little better. It got a little better. Okay. That much, but it got better. Thank you so much for pulling up. I appreciate you. I think I got a lot of you guys. Thank you so much, everybody, for pulling up. I always appreciate it. Thank you, Jordan's World 777. I appreciate you for being active in the chat. I saw you in there. Ellis, I thank you for pulling up. I think I got a lot of people. Nola. I think that's how it is. Thank you so much. Taurus Prince, thank you. Everybody that contribute to the show, thank you so much. Ronnie, thank you. Everybody, even Ken, thank you as well for being active in the chat. You guys, thank you so much for pulling up. As always, it's your girl Mika, and I am out. Peace. Bye.